Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Subscribe, thumb up the video, share everywhere. I appreciate you for joining channel membership. I also appreciate everybody who's done a super thanks and has commented in the comment section. I really enjoy that. I enjoy the back and forth, and hopefully you enjoy this.
Don't forget to like, sub, and share. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Nathan being buried because Sarah went slicey dicey on him. Yeah. Nathan actually was one of the good ones. First viewing from, I thought he was suspicious, but come to find out it wasn't him that was suspicious. It was Sarah. Yeah, Sarah. Sarah's the one to look out for. And of course, at the end of season 1 and at the end of season 3, she really pulls through. And for the rest of the series, for the most part, she's a good person. She was just misguided. And we're going to also see that towards the end, Father Khatri was almost going to go down the same route as Sarah. Nathan's being buried because Sarah went slicey dicey. Jade comes up and he's looking for different parts to try to make the radio work. Father Khatri, he's giving a sermon about chaos and faith. Tabitha's going through all of the stuff from the Pratts, all of their things. She finds Bible verses that the Pratts had wrote from Father Khatri. And I like how they did this because it shows that Frank wasn't always the drunk, irresponsible person that he was portrayed. Julie, she comes up. She sees a bouquet of flowers on the porch, snatches it up for herself, and we later find out that this was Kevin's way of giving flowers to Jasmine. Kevin being another person who was weak-minded, and I think a lot of people who arrive in the From, they are troubled. Mental health issues, low self-esteem, things that they did on the outside world, they didn't really recover from and forgive themselves from, and the anguish from whatever they went through or whatever they did causes them to have mental health issues and be weak-minded, which makes someone like Kevin susceptible to a creature like Jasmine, knowing that she's a creature, knowing that she wants to come in and wreak havoc, yet he is falling in love with her, giving her flowers, having conversations with her because he's lonely. A whole house full of people, and Kevin couldn't connect with any of them, probably because, and I'm just guessing, Kevin just strikes me as someone, as far as the character, where on the outside world, he would have a hard time or trouble connecting with the opposite gender, maybe even connecting with men. And so when you have a guy like Kevin, if I'm right about him, where he has a hard time getting into relationships and being in relationships with women, having a hard time connecting with men because he doesn't come across as that masculine, he'll come to a place like Fromville, still anguishing from what he did in his life, from unresolved childhood issues and what have you. He'll still have the same problems in Colony House, even though we haven't seen much of Colony House as far as how people interact with each other. I'm pretty sure that people are hooking up with people that they find attractive. So if they're hooking up with people they find attractive, a lot of the women in Colony House, even though it's free love, they may not have connected with Kevin just because of the fact that he's not really that masculine and he just might not be desirable for the people there. So someone like Jasmine, who's trying to trick him to get him to open up the window, does make sense that someone like Kevin would give in to something like that. Yeah. And yeah, he's a whole clown out here. You got limited options in Fromville and can't connect with anybody but Jasmine out there. I get it, Jasmine, she's attractive, but she's a creature. Julie snatches up the bouquet, finders keepers, and Father Khatri is giving a sermon on chaos and faith. One fun fact is Father Khatri did not come to Fromville with a Bible, even though later on he's going to remark that there are no Bibles in Fromville. He didn't come with his own Bible because he actually had lost his faith because of an incident that happened with a boy in his congregation where the boy wanted to stay for a long period of time. Father Kotri told him he had to leave. And then Father Kotri went to go check up on the boy. The mom came out hysterical. The boy's father, who was drunk, had took the life of his son. Father Kotri blamed himself, did damage to the father enough to put blood on his tab collar clergy shirt. It's kind of assumed that Father Kotri took the guy's life. And so Father Kotri had a bottle of alcohol when he came into Frontville. The alcohol probably came from the father, took the alcohol, was drinking it, and was deciding to end it all. But a voice from God, according to Father Kotri, told him he had a different purpose, and he drove and went into Frontville. And now he's preaching the good news. It's kind of like a duality in that Father Kotri, in this place of a nightmare where it's hopeless, he's giving people hope to keep them from ending it all like he was planning on doing, which helps people get through the day by day and even week by week like it does in real life. Religion does have a place in that it is inspirational. Whether you believe and have faith or you don't, it's inspirational to help you get from Sunday to Sunday and get you through your work week, your school week, and dealing with your family. It's great that Father Kotri is doing this, and it's almost like he was looking for a sign, and when Sarah came along, it's almost like the sign that he was waiting for or looking for manifested itself. Tabitha walks in as Father Kotri talks about finding faith and purpose, which foreshadows her, in my opinion, finding out who she comes from and hashtag save the children. So he talks about purpose and faith. She finds her purpose and faith. She gives papers with Bible verses written on them that she found in Frank Lorne and Megan Pratt's belongings. Tabitha said Ethan is scared, asks about Sarah, and Father Kotri lies and says he hasn't seen her since she ran off into the woods, and he tried to run after her. That's the lie that Father Kotri told, but at this point, the fact that he avoided accountability, he took someone's life, didn't let the justice system or even the system of God get revenge for the boy, Father Kotri is already beyond redemption. And I think that's the reason why season 2 and season 3, he is somewhat manifested as, we'll just say, an entity controlled by Frontville, because the sins that he committed while alive, he didn't forgive himself. He held that with him. And he, even though on the outside he seemed like he was strong and put together, that was just a facade, in my opinion, to help others. And he became chaos and faith, controlled by the entity of Frontville, just at a lesser degree than Sarah. Because Father Kotri did hear the voice of who he believed was God, drove into Frontville, and he was nudged into the idea of keeping Sarah alive to see what these voices were that she heard. He lies because he has her imprisoned downstairs. He says it's unlikely she survived the night. He says he wrote the passages from memory because he has no Bible. Just misguided at this point while he's alive, he was able to help others. He then asks her what she really came to ask him. And Tabitha asks how he knows any of this is real and whether they are alive or deceased. Father Kotri responds by asking if it even matters. If they were dead and trapped in some awful purgatory, they would still be stuck and searching for a way to go home. And all that would change is the home they are searching for. Because the home wouldn't be going back to outside of Frontville into their universe. It would be going to heaven. Tabitha guesses that she isn't the first to ask that, and he says he has had plenty of chances to work on his answer. He adds that if it's any consolation, the Matthews were alive when they crashed into Frontville, into town, and that she and her family are alive. After Tabitha departs, Father Kotri goes down into the basement where he is keeping Sarah in the dark, tied to a chair, false imprisonment, and tells her that they need to talk, hoping that he can make heads or tails of the voices.
D's nuts.
Yeah, this is creepy. So Boyd and Kenny, they're digging the grave for Nathan, And so as they finish digging the grave, Boyd asks Kenny if he is all right. Kenny admits that he is having a hard time wrapping his mind around the kind of night Sarah was doing. He adds that his mother is taking it hard, having viewed Sarah as a daughter. Boyd tells him that he has been thinking about what Kenny said about running out of room on the board. Kenny dismisses it as him having been upset, but Boyd says it does not mean he was wrong. Boyd explains that he feels that things are changing and points out that the talismans can work in the RV. Now he is determined to go out into the forest, but Kenny begins to walk away. Boyd scolds Kenny, who asks if he is going alone and how far he is going. Boyd says he is trying to find a way out, but Kenny says there is no point, as Kenny has accepted from Bill. Same thing that Kenny was telling Jade, that you either adapt or you lose your mind. Kenny has accepted his fate. He's adapted. And that might be the reason why he cried for his father, but was able to kind of quickly recover, because he's accepted his fate that this is home. And he's going to do the same thing for Tien Chen Lu, season 3, where he cries. He's sad about it, but he's accepted that they're in this nightmare and this is home for him. Yeah, terrible situation to be in. So in the Matthews home, Tabitha finishes packing away the Pratt's belongings while Jim examines the wires in the lamp. When asked, he reveals to Tabitha that there is no wire in the cord and points out that their outlets are fake too. That basically is to hide the fact that the home is fake and designed for human trafficking. With it being a home that's fake and designed for human trafficking, in addition to stuff being fake, Jim says that none of the lamps should work, and they do. So I'm not gonna rehash the no wires and fake outlets video where I believe everything is powered wirelessly. I do think that the Matthews house collapse was due to human trafficking.
This world that is just amazing.
The fact that we could build these environments from scratch is astounding.
We are in a town that's been brilliantly designed and built by Matt Likely, our production designer, and his team.
This has been the biggest challenge that I've experienced in my career so far.
When we first got the script, we thought, oh my God, where would we do this show? It needed to be a place that had woods and paved roads, hopefully with nothing else on it.
This is basically like a little town that has been like cut out of the middle of the deepest forest you've ever seen.
When we got there, this was an empty field.
Oh, this can't be the same place.
The location that we're on right now, this pool, for instance, did not exist.
And now we have a diner in the middle of the town. It looks like it's out of a painting.
I think this place is special.
A motel pool that doesn't have the motel with it. The houses, the gas station, or our clinic.
There's a depot as well as a barn where livestock are looked after.
Frank!
There is what you might call a bar in this town.
You guys built a bar in this place?
Back here, we've got a makeshift still that the bartender uses to make the moonshine that everyone drinks in town.
What is this shit?
Consider it your poor man's potato vodka.
Oh. And then they showed me Colony House, and they were like, oh yeah, that wasn't there 2 weeks ago.
I'll be damned.
All of our production crew across the board is just an incredible group of people.
It feels like a real town. And also the creepiest place you have ever been in your life.
So I showed you that because I want to emphasize the fact that everything in From is made on purpose, meaning that there's no mistakes. Everything is on purpose. So like with the dogs, there's 2 videos I made with the German Shepherds. They looked behind themselves and then looked at the person that they're directing their attention to. Both times, Boyd, people said that, well, the dogs, the German Shepherds, they look behind themselves because of their trainer or handler, which could be true in real world as far as the production of From. However, the reason why that wasn't edited out is because they were supposed to look behind themselves. So in looking behind themselves, I believe that in universe, as far as in the story, they were looking at their master. It could be a handler behind them. They were looking at their master both times because that's who they were getting guidance from, as far as in story, in universe. But in real life, yeah, probably was a handler with a dog whistle. I got it. So with this, talking about the Matthews house collapsing was to hide human trafficking. I'm going to go through a bunch of screenshots. This is Victor's room from season 1, episode 1, where it shows the camera panned over, showed all of Victor's drawings, and he was eating peaches. This picture right here is a part of the title sequence. It's blown up and showed wider, but this picture right here is the same as this smaller one right here that's made by Victor. Most of the drawings made with crayon that we see in the title sequence is made by Victor. The ones that look inferior were made by Eloise. And this is the smaller version of this one, which is blown up right here. Some things I want to highlight is that when Victor's drawing this, he's drawing it from the outside of the home looking in. And it looks like that whatever this is, I think these things in a black robe, I think this is equivalent to people wearing a black robe that is like a ritual robe. It looks very similar of what people wear during a ritual, and a lot of times occultists who are in a cult will wear black robes like this when they're committing different acts, and they're doing it for some type of a ritualistic purpose. So I think that people in black robes, maybe the original townspeople or the humans who are still alive in the caves, I do believe that there's still humans in Fromville who are part of the same cult that the original townspeople were a part of. They're doing something different than what the original townspeople did and are doing to become creatures. They're doing something different, and with them doing something different, I think that they're still kidnapping people, specifically teddy bears, for ritualistic purposes, and Victor saw that. Now we know that Victor has a bad memory. He has a bad memory, and he even says in the show that he doesn't remember, but pictures do. So I think that Victor witnessed a ritual, or people in ritualistic robes going into houses and snatching people up. With Victor witnessing this from the outside of the home, and maybe even seeing people in robes go into homes snatching people up, we know that Victor told Sarah that he and Eloise used to like to play in Sarah's house, which is right here on this model. Victor and Eloise used to like to play at Sarah's house. He never said where they lived while in Fromville. And I'm thinking that it's possible that he may have lived at the Matthews house when he, Eloise, and Miranda were alive. And the reason why I say that is because in the drawing, the house is black in color, and there's Kenny's house, the blue house, the Matthews, the gray house, and then you got Colony House. Those are the only homes in Fromville. So with him drawing the house in like a black color at night, I think a gray house would look black. So because he never told Sarah that they lived in the house but like to play there, I'm willing to bet that it's possible that when Victor was 10, he, Miranda, and Eloise lived at the Matthews house, and he was able to see what was going on in the gray house from his window at the Matthews house and be able to see what's going on at the gray house. So I think that's how he was able to witness this human trafficking and draw it, because he watched it from his own house. This was pre-talisman stones. They more than likely were hiding under the Matthews house, and that's kind of why he has that vantage point of being able to see up and see what's going on at the gray house. When Boyd and his family first arrived to Fromville, the first night they were there, they went into the bunker with Donna and Father Kotchery. They stayed down there while the howling was going on. And in the morning, they came up from the bunker. People emerged from other bunkers and even came from underneath the house. It's more than likely that someone, when going to Fromville, they chose to hide under the bed, and whoever had the robes on went and got the person and snatched them out. Or this could have been drawn while Victor was there by himself for all those decades. I doubt that when other humans, including adults, did come into town, Victor would make himself known, just because he doesn't know who's a human, who's a creature. And it probably took him a while to really understand that the creatures come out at night. Because when his mom told him to hide in the root cellar and don't come out till day, if Victor knew or remembered that creatures come out at night, he would automatically know to hide. But the fact that his mom had to tell him to hide, I think that means that Victor just didn't really understand that the creatures come out at night. They shielded Victor from how Frumville really is, kind of like how they did with Ethan. Whereas they're not really explaining stuff to Ethan, they're just telling him what to do, but not really why. And so with that being said, Victor more than likely had to figure it out as far as the creatures coming out at night. And that's the reason why, in my opinion, people probably did come the entire time he was there. He just didn't make himself known because he was hiding from everybody, more than likely until Donna saw him, got his attention, and he decided to actually communicate with people. This is all a theory, all a theory. More than likely that we're seeing what's happening in the Gray house. Victor was underneath the Matthews house looking at it, and that's why he was able to draw here. There's drawings in the opening that look more defined that are also in Victor's room, and I think it's because Victor drew those when he was older, before he became an adult. Victor more than likely drew this. You see how these don't look as refined. He probably drew this when he was young, drew this one when he was young, like around 10. Same thing for this one, same thing for this one. The people in the black robes who looked like they were floating, he may have even seen other types of entities that actually could fly. And that's why they're showing this going all the way into the home and into the chimney and going down. He probably witnessed more evil than what we've seen on the show so far. And this is what I'm talking about as far as a defined picture, as opposed to looking more blockish and amateurish than what we've seen in other parts of the opening. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section your thoughts. Thumbs up the video, share to your social media, subscribe, click the notification bell. Thanks for watching. Go forth, do great things, and I'm out. Peace.